Hi, I'm Megan. Welcome to today's live reading of Sarge by Stuart Ledwith, presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Join me. Prologue. Billionaire's yacht, the São Gabriel, sunk. All aboard presumed dead. Search for survivors continues into its sixth day. The daily papers throughout all of Portugal carried the ongoing story. TV crews and helicopters circled the area for days. The Portuguese Navy continued its search for survivors and now changed its mission into recovering debris through finding very little. Camille de Santa Maria Teixeira was born into a wealthy family of Portuguese shipping magnate Miguel Teixeira. She was the last of 7 children. She led a life of privilege, wanted for nothing except for a mother. Her mother had died of cancer when Camille was 4 years old. Her baba, Nanny, was kind, inspiring, and pushed Camille to become educated in all the aspects and grace of being the heiress she truly was. Camille was never interested in the family business. She had 4 older brothers and 2 older sisters who were. She studied at the Sorbonne in Paris, earning a degree in art and design, her first love. Besides her native tongue, Camille was fluent in French, Spanish, and Moroccan Berber, taught to her by her baba. She had studied English at her father's insistence and was confident enough to possibly order a meal or get a taxi. Upon graduation, she planned to open her own design studio. She planned to open her own studio in Tamar, the home of her maternal grandfather, Rodrigo de Souza Cabrial, who was a member and solid supporter of the Knights of Christ, formerly known as the Knights Templar. She loved the churches of Tamar, the views of overlooking the Nebo River, the narrow cobblestone streets, and the stunning sunsets dropped into the far distant Atlantic Ocean. A sea of color, a designer's dream. Camille remained in Paris after graduating. Her baba was meeting her and staying for several weeks so they could shop at the chic and back street ateliers for summer clothes and the latest bikinis and sunbathing attire. Baba was a beautiful woman in her own right. She was a tall, slender, dark-skinned Berber. Usually she held her long black hair back in a ponytail. She was a former model until she was hired to care for Camille. Early in the second week of June, Baba, Camille, her sister's parents, and many cousins boarded the family super yacht, the São Gabriel, to set sail for Azores to celebrate Camille's 21st birthday. At the end of the third day at sea, Camille poured herself a glass of Vinho Verde and headed to the top deck to watch the sunset. She snuggled into her favorite lounge chair. Chapter 1. Lieutenant Commander T.J. Madison tossed his rucksack into the chopper and climbed aboard. He took a seat, strapped in, and put on his headset. Thanks for the lift, guys. We hear you are headed out to the Mandela inlets for a vacation. Is there nothing there? There is nothing there except for some stone remains of an old Templar outpost, the crew chief exclaimed. Exactly, TJ responded. I love the remoteness, camping by myself, eating fish, lobster, and the like. What are you guys doing, flying in that direction anyway? Actually, this is the last day of the search for the São Gabriel, a super yacht that mysteriously disappeared 6 days ago. No survivors, not an ounce of debris either. We are taking one last look. Lucky for you. I guess their loss is my gain, TJ commented sadly as he turned toward the window and began scanning the open water for any signs of debris along with the rest of the flight crew. The captain broke the silence after 2 hours of searching. We'll be landing on the deck of a U.S. aircraft carrier to refuel for the last half of the trip in about 30 minutes. We'll be on deck for about 15 minutes. Thanks, Captain Silva. Nice ride so far, TJ quipped. It's likely to be quite bumpy around the Mandalas according to the weather reports, the captain replied. We'll get a good reading for you before we drop off, though. Thank you for your kindness, sir, TJ said appreciatively. From the maps I looked at, there is an inlet about 6 to 8 miles off the coast of the mainland. You could drop me there on the beach. Commander, you do know you will be the only person on the inlet, do you? Don't you? The captain asked. Exactly what I want, TJ replied. I live with my SEAL teams 24/7 and need some alone time. I get it. I'm stuck with this crew all the time, too, the captain responded amid groans and laughter. I do have to add that they are the best search and rescue team in our Navy. I'm sure they are, TJ rejoined seriously. Within an hour, the chopper was hovering above the coastline. Commander, It is high tide and the beach is too rocky for us to land. The onshore wind is pushing us around and creating some pretty large breakers as well. Looks like those winds will hold for a couple more days. How about we winch you and your gear down and land a bit? That will be fine, Captain, TJ replied. Thanks for the ride. Smooth as silk. Sorry we didn't see any survivors. Commander, I highly doubt there were any. The yacht must have sunk very quickly. There wasn't even an SOS. It just disappeared, the captain said as his voice faded, understanding the tragedy of it all. Have a good flight back. I'll swim over to the main island and hitch a ride when I'm ready to get back to my unit, TJ replied as he descended to the rocky ground. TJ tossed his rucksack over his shoulder and climbed up the slope to a plateau where he'd seen a freshwater pool from the air as they circled searching for a good landing area. He'd need a freshwater source for survival. The sea would provide the meals. He leveled off some ground for his tent and a fire pit. He marveled at the raw beauty of this place, the jagged rocks, the long dead silver trees against the deep blue sky. Large seabirds called raucously above him. Chapter 2. The office door opened. A tall, muscular black man strode in and took a seat behind the imposing, hand-carved oak desk. He looked squarely at the young man sitting across from him. Do you know why you are here, young man? He asked with an equally imposing voice. I don't know, Mr. Blackburn, but I suspect it's not good, the boy muttered, barely heard under his breath. How are things at home, TJ? The principal asked in a much louder voice, though sounding genuinely interested, trying to get this young man to speak up and engage in the conversation. They're okay, I guess, TJ replied, nearly stuttering. You've made it through your junior year. You have some so-so marks and could have a better attendance record. Do you have any help with homework at home? Mr. Blackburn inquired. No, sir. I have to be mowing lawns and delivering packages every night and every weekend. My mom ain't very good at any study and stuff, and she don't help me. The neighbor lady is pretty nice to me, though, TJ explained, hoping his explanation would answer the principal's question. TJ, it's about delivering those packages we need to talk about, Mr. Blackburn emphasized, then added. We both know what's in those packages and how dangerous that business can be, so I want you to stop delivering them immediately. You are worth so much more than being used by a drug dealer. But Mr. Blackburn, how will I make enough money to put food on the table at home? TJ asked, shrugging his shoulders and holding his hands up. My mother don't help, and I don't have a father that I know of. How about you quit your delivery services by week's end and let me worry about how to put food on your table? We have loads of ways to help those in need around here. Besides, I have much bigger and better plans for you, young man. Why, what do you mean, sir? TJ stammered, wondering exactly what the principal was getting at. Once upon a time, I was sitting exactly where you are sitting, in front of the principal because I was in a gang and in fights all the time. He urged me to get out and turn my life around. I'm glad he did that for me. I'd like to do the same for you if you will let me. I see a lot of potential in you, and I'd like to help you reach it, Mr. Blackburn offered. What happened to you, Mr. Blackburn? TJ asked, sounding somewhat interested, though the thought of giving up his best money-making proposition was a tough pill to swallow. Just like you, I was big and strong. My principal guided me to the football coach, and he taught me how to take out all of my aggressions in a very organized way. I became the star running back and went on to college and did the same there as well. From there, I went on to join the Navy and became a SEAL. Best thing I ever did, Mr. Blackburn exclaimed. Now I'd like to pay it forward and help you just as I was helped all those years ago. Wow, that's quite a life, TJ replied. Too embarrassed to make eye contact, he looked down at the floor and explained. I'm poor, though. I don't see a lot of opportunities out there. I don't know anything about football. Don't even like to play games. TJ, that is perfect. If you're willing to work with me, we can create a great senior year for you and prepare you for a college career. Don't worry about the money. It will come to you in ways you can't imagine. Trust me. The principal smiled, trying to get his reluctant and untrusting student on board. Let's get together next Monday afternoon and get started. You good with that, TJ? You're the principal, sir. How can I say no? TJ replied as he was getting up from his chair to leave. He was surprised when Mr. Blackburn reached out to shake his hand. If I shake your hand, does that mean I'm on this deal, or are we going to be friends? TJ asked, looking for someone to trust. He's always only had himself to rely on. TJ, I hope you can allow yourself to trust me. If not, then give us some time and let the plan we come up with work. Same time next Monday, then. TJ nodded as he was leaving the office. The principal called after him, "Wear a tie." Chapter 3. TJ arrived at the principal's office at precisely 2:30 p.m. the following Monday. To his surprise, there were 2 other young men wearing ties and 2 well-dressed ladies waiting for the principal as well. He had seen them around the school but didn't know them by name. Mr. Blackburn popped his head into the office and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, please follow me." They followed him to the gym. "Today begins a new life for each of you. We are going to learn to work together as one, learn to support each other in every way possible. You each have unique talents though your circumstances have not allowed you to practice them. That changes today. Are you with me?" As he asked as he searched the small group for a consensus. The little group stood in a semicircle, searching each other's faces for an unspoken consensus. One of the girls finally spoke up. "We're in." "Then come with me. We need something to sit on while we talk." He led them to the far end of the gym and stopped in front of a 10 by 12 inch, 10-foot long timber. "I'd like you to meet my friend and fellow teacher, Mr. Beam. If all of you would pick him up and bring him back to where we just were, we can get started." Amid the many groans and complaints, Mr. Blackburn offered, "Okay, I'll get one end and all of you can get the other. Can we do that, or are you going to wimp out on me?" He tipped the large beam to one side, put his hand under the end, and picked it up using good lifting technique to demonstrate for them. The group managed to get the large timber to the other end of the gym after several stops to rest. "Okay, group, by the end of summer, you won't need my help. We're going to take this beam with us wherever we go in the school. It will be the only thing we sit on. It will become our best friend. Does everyone understand?" All of the kids had the same question. Why? "The best answer I can give you is to tell you that I want you to reach your highest potential. I want you to learn poise and grace, strength and understanding, love and friendship. You will likely hate Mr. Beam tomorrow and the next day. However, he will be your friend when you have to stand up for what is right. You will be as strong as he is." Mr. Blackburn continued, "Let's meet here on Wednesdays and Fridays as well. Next time you come, bring swimsuits. Before you complain, I will teach you how to swim, how to survive in the water, and how to save a buddy from drowning. Bring sneakers too, because we are going to run and get in shape. Got me?" Everyone in the group nodded. Summer went as Mr. Blackburn told them it would. Before school started in the fall, he made his group an offer. "Would you like to go on a long weekend field trip?" Of course, all were interested in where the trip might take them. "It'll be a surprise. Pack light and be ready to go anywhere in the world. We'll see how much you've learned. Be here Friday morning at 8 a.m. The day came. "If you would be so kind, bring Mr. Beam over to the back door and leave it by the wall where you found him the first day you met him. Then come outside with me." Simultaneously, Mr. Blackbird was using a handheld radio. "Yes, popping smoke for you now." A voice crackled over his radio. "I see red smoke." "Red, sir. Land 50 meters in front of it and we'll load up," Mr. Blackburn replied. The kids were beside themselves with happiness and excitement, all eager to get aboard the helicopter that just landed. "Okay, group, follow the crew chief's instructions and listen carefully to the safety rules. You will be spending the weekend with a Navy SEAL team. They are good men. They will teach you many things. You can trust them. Follow what they say. I'll see you Sunday afternoon to talk about your weekend." Sunday afternoon arrived. Mr. Blackburn had to keep the crowd away from the landing zone after word spread that a Navy helicopter would be landing at the high school. The students jumped and rolled off the chopper just as they were trained and came to attention in a line beside it. The chopper pilot climbed down to the ground. In a brief ceremony, he saluted and pinned a participation medal on each of them. The crew chief saluted each student as he collected their gear. It was a beautiful moment. The sharp salute and attention to detail amazed Mr. Blackburn. They marched single file into the gym after the chopper lifted off and blinked its lights to salute them. As Mr. Blackburn was about to welcome them home, he was hugged, or rather mugged, by his little group. They all wanted to talk at once, yet chose the discipline they learned and took turns. They heaped thanks and praise on him for his interest in them and doing so much for them. TJ spoke last. "Mr. Blackburn, I think I found my home. I want to be a SEAL." Now that you've seen what's required to become a SEAL, you know what you will have to work on in the weight room, the pool, and the track. You need to hit the books as well.